I want to state for the record that I do not believe in gay rights. I believe in human rights. Throughout the course of this video presentation, I intend to prove that gays and lesbians and everyone in between are actually just normal, everyday, occurring humans. We all want to think that we're special boy, but we're not. We're not a better version of a human than any other person. We just aren't. We'll look at this issue from a number of different physical and mental angles to determine that gays, homosexuals, fags, queers, lesbians, dykes, lickalotopus, megasaurasses, all those are just as human as you and I. And they deserve human rights. In the work of Alfred Kinsey back in the 1950s, he discovered that most people are neither heterosexual nor homosexual, but lie somewhere in a range in between the two. Given this as a basis, we can move forward in a logical manner. If most people are not being born too gay or too straight, then some of the other arguments can line up just fine. If there were a gay inheritability factor, then this would only enhance the environmental factors and social factors. When scientists say that there may be a genetic link to being gay, i.e. if you have a gay relative, you might turn out gay as well. Okay, let's talk genetics for a moment. Scientists and researchers have said that you increase your likelihood of being gay if you have a gay or homosexual relative. Now, the completely moronic and stupid response to that from the Christian right, usually, is that, well, if you have gay parents, you can't be born because gay people don't do it that way. Stop being so stupid. Okay, these people have obviously never heard of dominant genes versus recessive genes and how genes actually work. Let me give you in a nutshell what a redneck truck driver thinks about genetics. This should make you feel stupid. Okay, genetics 101. Okay? If a gene is only carried by one parent, it tends not to be a dominant gene. If it is carried by both parents, it tends to be a dominant gene or more powerful gene, and thus gets expressed through the offspring. That's why we have Down syndrome children without having Down syndrome parents. Can't believe you couldn't figure this out on your own. I mean, seriously, wasn't this in middle school biology for most of us? British researchers Glenn Wilson and Kazi Rahman come to a conclusion in their new book, Born Gay, a psychobiology of sexual orientation, in which they write, sexual orientation is something we are born with and not acquired from our social environment. That is a quote from their book. The reason they come to this conclusion is that there's studies out now which show that fraternal birth order do have an impact on whether someone is gay or not. With how many different male children born to the same mother, the further you go down the line, the more chance there is that one of them will be gay. As a matter of fact, each older brother increases the chances by 33%. Thus, the more brothers that you have and the lower in the birth order you are, the more effeminate you may be. What causes this is generally agreed upon to be the chemistry in the uterus of the mother. My mommy made me gay. No, really, she did. Generally speaking, there is brain chemistry and other things that go on to make someone gay, if you will, but the bottom line is it is a completely natural process. It happens naturally. If you want to call it God's will, then you better start calling it God's will, because it happens no matter what the parent desires for the child. Let's move on to brain chemistry. Sex plexiglasses alert. Scientists studied 90 scans of gay men, straight men, and women and found the size of the two symmetrical halves of the brains of gay men more closely resemble those of straight women than they did straight men. In heterosexual women, the two halves of the brain are more or less the same size. In heterosexual men, the right hemisphere is slightly larger. Scans of the brain of gay men in the study, however, showed that their hemispheres were relatively symmetrical, like those of straight women, while brains of homosexual women were asymmetrical, like those of straight men. This just in, the hippocampus actually is smaller in gay males than it is in straight males, being the equivalent size of those in females, not males. The hippocampus is where we get our sexual orientation from. It is who you are. And if you are gay, it's alright to be gay. Now that we know that being homosexual is not a choice, but it is part of our physical DNA, mental makeup, let's hear what the argument is for being a choice. Saying that dark-skinned people chose that hue because it gives them a better sense of rhythm is like saying that gays chose to be that way because they want to have a good fashion sense. Absurd. To be gay because fudge that hue because British people chose that hue because it gives them a better sense of rhythm. What the religious right has to say about Raja Gura Baba Yiki Dada. Oh, I'm speaking in tongues. Gays chose to be that way because they like the feel of pubic hair on their chin. Oh, I can't say that.